in a black cloak, street gospel, light of the temple. Sword swing, killer live from the ghetto. The hood messenger, let them know hell's close. Black burial, the devil in a black cloak.
Yo, what is up? Welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast. I'm your host, Dave One, and this is episode number... Yo, Cam, what episode is this? Episode number 34. So if you caught last episode, it was episode number 33. Special episode with that baller, the professor. So definitely was a good show. It was a little bit different. We did it live in front of a studio audience. We had about, I would say, what'd you say, Cam, about 500 people? It's about 500 people for that live studio audience recording. It was a little hairy. I'm not going to lie. I was a little nervous because it's instant. It's not like a recording where you could go back, listen to it. I mean, when you're in front of 500 people, you come off stage, you're like, was that good? And either it's good or bad. There's no in between. So definitely a good episode. Check it out. Episode number 33, Ball Till You Fall with the Professor. But today, I got somebody that I've been working on for a minute. His son was here. I've met him a few times. Great story. So, let's just get into this podcast. I'm going to introduce this guy right here, but, I got to play a little music, as I introduce my guest. So this guy has been around for a long time. He's an OC, particularly Anaheim native. He's a pastor, a coach, a biker, a tattoo enthusiast. For those of you that are watching online, you're going to see. Not too many guys have a tattoo like that on their face, but he is a father, a husband, a brother in the Lord. He does it all around. So without further ado, I want to welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast, Mr. Phil Aguilar. What's up, man?
Good to be here, man. Glad I finally made it. Woo! Looking forward to it.
We were waiting for a while, right?
Yeah.
We were waiting for a while. I'll be honest. I didn't think when I talked to Chill and Chill came in, because Chill was like, "Yeah, I'll do it," and he was one of my early, probably number 3, number 4, Cam, and early episode. So I told him, I go, "Hey, man, I'd really love to get your dad in here. What do you think?" He goes, "Oh, he'll do it. He'll do it." So finally we made it happen, man.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm sure you got to hear a lot from Chill. He talks good.
Chill's a good talker, man.
He sure is.
He's a fast talker.
Oh, he is.
He don't stop talking. The funny thing about that, I'll tell you a little story about Chill when he came in. So Chill came in on a Saturday morning. He said I can't make it any other day. I said, okay, I'll make a special. It was like 9 a.m. right? So Chill comes in and we start going. So the Chill's thing was this. He never told the full story of his life, right? So he goes, I'm gonna tell you the story in no holds barred. So I said, okay, The only problem with that is it was a long one, right? It was about 2 hours and 20 something. Yeah, it's the longest, right, Cam? It was like 2 hours and 20 something.
I believe it.
Maybe 30, right? So I'm here. We wrap it up, right? And so I'm like, Cam. I'm calling Cam, like, come turn off the cameras. Let's collect all the SD cards and stuff. And he's not answering. So I hold on, Chill. I take off the headphones. I go look for him, and I see my daughter. She's getting ready to take pictures of him. And I said, "Where's Cam?" "Oh, he left to work like an hour ago. He was trying to tell you, but you're all at Chill." So I was like, "Oh man!" So it was definitely a long one. But
oh yeah.
But I love Chill, man.
He's great. He's a good boy.
So I wanted to have you. I mean, I've heard of the legend of Phil Aguilar, right? And there's a lot to be said, right? I mean, there's no denying it. In the era of Googling, right? In the era of internet, we can find everything about everybody and stories, true, false, a little bit of truth, a lot of false, whatever it may be. There's a good mix of stuff out there, right?
Oh yeah, plenty.
But where does your story begin? I know you're from Anaheim, but how did you grow up? I mean, Anaheim back in, I would say what? I don't want to diss you
In
here.
the 40s?
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say the 50s, but we're going to take it back to the 40s. It was a lot different back then.
Oh, we called it Clanaheim, brother. I was born in beautiful downtown Clanaheim, where the city council was run by some Ku Klux Klan, John Birch Society, white power people.
It really was?
Oh, yeah. Anaheim, Anna's house, Germantown. And it was like that. Yeah, definitely. So I was brought up, all my friends, almost all of them, all of my pictures, elementary school, is this little dark kid with all these white people around him.
So
and
most people think Anaheim, Disneyland.
Yeah.
Right? This is
before
Disneyland.
Before Disneyland. And then most of our parents, like my dad was a bricklayer, so he worked building Disneyland.
Wow.
But, we grew up, and it was a small town, and it's in Orange County. And so half of our city was orange groves. So we grew up, little kids playing in the orange groves, throwing oranges at each other, having orange fights. But it was a little different thing as far as, I can remember in first grade, and I told my mom one day, I said, hey, you got any better soap? Because, all my friends are white,
Oh, wow.
And so it was one of those little things. I was already a Dennis Rodman, kind of a little misfit at early age. And then in second grade, they told us anybody who speaks Spanish should stop it. It's a dead language. And
wow.
Speak in Spanish school. So, what Spanish I knew was, gone by the wayside. So but I assimilated.
Were you first or like second generation or third generation or?
I was second generation.
Second generation. So, it's like my grandfather. He's in his 80s, so it's a little bit before your time. But he said they lived in Griffith Park before it was Griffith Park.
Right.
And they had low income housing in Griffith Park. There were just these Quonset huts. And he said they would go to school like in Glendale. Mm-hmm. And as they got older, the parents wanted to send them there because it was a good school. The only problem is at 5 o'clock they couldn't be in the neighborhood no more. They had to be escorted out of the neighborhood.
Oh yeah, things were different. I remember the people. There were busloads of Mexicans from Mexico coming over to pick the oranges. They'd put them in this little ghetto camp where they'd stay for a few months, pick the oranges, and then send them back. So I would be with all my white friends going, "Oh, look at them!" And then everybody called them Nationals. So I go, "Look at the Nationals." I didn't realize those were all my relatives at the time,
right.
because I just fit in with everybody else. You just kind of learn. You're a young kid, you don't know much about all that kind of stuff. But it was a different world back in Anaheim then.
When did you start realizing? There had to be a point when you started realizing, like, we're different, right?
For me, it really changed, like I said, when we're going into middle school,
Yeah.
And I put, all my little white friends from elementary school. I go over to middle school, and it's kind of a little challenging because the older kids, it was 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, and I could remember fellows that were referred to as pachucos.
Oh, okay.
They had the rain drain hairdos, and they had the Sir Guy shirts buttoned up and khakis and all that stuff. And I can remember a group of them coming up to me going, "Hey, what are you, a Chicano falso?" And I go, "What are you talking about?" And I go, "Well, I hang out with all them white surfer people." And so that's when I had to make a difference right there in my life. Like I said, let's see, do I stand along the walls, the lockers here, mad dog people all day long and dress what I thought was weird, or wear Smiley Purcell's tennis shoes, white Levi's, and go to the beach with all my white friends? And I chose going with my white friends. So I'm a stone coconut right out and proud of it,
I think it probably adds to the dynamic of who you are today, right? You're able to really connect with this group, that group.
Oh, alternative all the way, yeah.
Right. You really get to. When did you start becoming a knucklehead? Because I read some stuff where you started like getting a little wild in your younger years.
Yeah, right. Well, like I said, I'm the typical kid. I got 6 kids in the family. I was the oldest of 6, and then my dad took off with another woman, so my heart was broken, as a young kid like that, because I was used to watching Father Knows Best on TV, and so that kind of formulates how you think world's supposed to be. 11 years old.
Wow.
And so I was watching that on TV, thinking that's how life is, the white picket fence and all that little God Bless America. And here in my family, my dad was beating on my mom, and I'm watching all that violence, didn't know how to process that. And then my dad, when he left, my mom had to go to work, that old story. And so, here I am. I needed some therapy, some counseling. So I saw the fellows on the corner, a few years older, smoke this, drink that. And so right in my teenage years, it went on. And my only reprieve was when I was 15 years old, and the worst drug got a hold of me, the love drug. Fell in love with a little white girl from the other side of town, and next thing you know, she burnt me. So my dad broke my heart. She broke my heart. So at 15, I was just me against the world, victim mentality, Just,
your heart becomes hardened.
Oh, yeah.
I
I declared, at 15 years old, ain't nobody ever going to mess with me, hurt me again, boom, 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 and all that stuff. So for the next 15 years, I was at war with the world till I was approximately 30, and
Did you get into a lot of fights? Because I heard you did martial arts, right?
Yeah.
How did you get into martial arts?
Well, because when I was 18 years old, I got locked up for $10 worth of marijuana, and they gave me a year in the county jail.
Now they wouldn't do anything.
It's a joke now, but no, here I was, a flower child hippie, Haight Ashbury, doing all that kind of stuff, listening to Jefferson Airplane Love and all this kind of good stuff. Got busted for $10 worth of weed, and then I go to the Orange County Jail. And next thing you know, I go in a flower child and come out a wannabe thug. And while I was in there, I met this Samoan fellow named David Songyo, and he started teaching me martial arts. And then I had another friend, and I just got into it and got good at it. So here I am, became a skilled fighter, and, that with a little cocaine really worked out well. And just
that mix there.
Yeah, just mad at the world, hating myself, hating my life, my family, blaming everybody.
What was your mom saying at this time? Was she trying to stop you? She just couldn't stop you at that point.
Completely out of control. Didn't have a chance. She tried. Mama tried. Should have got that tattooed on me. That was the story. But it was one of those things. Brokenhearted, mad at the world kid, and I'm going to take it out on everybody. And but I don't ever remember somebody, anybody coming along like a youth group or this or. I don't remember anything like that when I was a youngster. That's why.
I think it was probably a different era. I think kids these days, and maybe it's a little too much where they're all in their feelings, right? And my mom and my dad say this a lot too, where you just didn't talk about things when you were young.
Oh, that's
that
sure.
That you hit those things. There's things that they are barely processing now. You know what I mean? But in those days, you would internalize all that stuff, and then it would come out in a bad way.
Yeah, just man up, soldier up, do that stuff. So, yeah, I was, I just remember those years. So it became me and my buddies. We'd hitchhike around everywhere, like I says, just getting high and having fun. And I started a little crew. I was the leader right off the get-go. So I had a group called the Ollie Street Crew, and we're tagging buildings. And my high school, Anaheim High School, would tag in the high school. They'd put something up there, the football players, Call on the Spirit, where the Anaheim Colonists, Call on the Spirit, knows no limit. And then I'd tag bullshit, says the Ollie Street Crew. It was always, just a little.
So at this point, you had to be known in Anaheim.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to be just the
Anaheim police knew me real well.
Right.
I was on probation, juvenile hall as a teenager, and then, like I said, as soon as I turned 18, and then I got in trouble again there. And I was a regular visitor. Like I said, it's just a lot of weird, violent things, and just like I said, you've heard it said before, when people hurt, people that hurt others,
right?
And so that's how I was just taking it out on anybody and everybody, and just I see people having a good time at a party, I'd want to ruin it, and and I found a few people that liked the same thing with me, so we had our little crew, and we just did it, and then we got a little older and got motorcycles and started riding around, raising hell.
So the good kid initially.
Yeah, until I was about 11, 12.
Hanging out with surfers and white kids, gets calloused from his father.
Yes.
And gets his heart broken.
Yeah, that was a big one. That little heartbreaker was, because that was one of those.
The first one, right?
Oh,
the first one is always the worst one.
Oh, brother, the first cut is the deepest. I still tell the story to people. They go, haven't you let that go? Never.
No.
Never. I know she's a red-haired, freckle-faced, wonderful girl. If she was alive, I'd check her out on Facebook right now, probably,
Yeah, the worst one, man. And then you're hanging out with the white kids, the coconut, start being a thug, and then you get into martial arts, and then you become a biker.
Yeah. So I was always riding a bike, but then I decided to start a crew. So we were called the Boys, just the Boys, and we just went around, like I says, getting high and throwing parties, and not accomplishing anything good. And the drugs kind of escalated. It went from the weed and LSD to the cocaine, and then finally, like I says, into heroin. And that's when it all changed down from being a sport biker to just being a stone cold heroin addict, robbing, stealing from everybody.
At that point, was it, they say that sin's fun up until a point, and then it starts becoming real.
Oh, yeah. It like I says, and I'm speaking on behalf of all of us that have ever done any kind of opiates, but especially, I grew up in a little barrio, called the Colonia in Anaheim, and, so I saw the older fellows and stuff like that steal from their mom, their grandma, all that stuff, and I would never do that.
Wow.
And here I was, like I said, just robbing my own family blind, and the addiction's unreal. That's one of the reasons that I work with people in addiction, because it's incredible what it does. You don't care about anybody but yourself. So it just became that, and then I had a lot of Captain Save-A-Hos trying to save this hoe, trying to help me out. The poor puppy dog, thought that they could change me.
At what point did your family kind of write you off, right? Because usually that's what happens. You steal enough from your family, or you burn enough people. People start saying, "Wait a minute, this is I can't have this guy over the house no more."
Yeah, one by one through the years, they loved me, but they were happy when I was locked up because they knew their things were safe.
Right.
And they, the old thing, we know where you're at now, and you're going to get 3 good meals a day and all that stuff. But I had an enabling mom, because I was, one of those people who, every time that I needed a bicycle, I said, "It's your fault my dad left, give me a bicycle."
Okay.
Hey, I need a car, it's your fault my dad left, so.
That's a common theme, though, right? The guilt trip to the enabler, so you can get your way.
So I forced my mom. I was an extortionist at a young age, and my mom, she's going to do it. She never said no to anything either. She even got me a lawyer when I got busted for weed sales, all that stuff. But like I said, when I was 28 years old and I got busted the last time for drugs and violence, that was the first time. And I remember my mom had to put her house up, for the bond. And I already had in my mind, I'm going to Mexico as soon as I get bailed out. I'm out of here. Didn't care if she lost her house, six brothers, sisters, and all that. Didn't care about that. And so sure enough, excuse me, she said no. And it was, I even wrote a song about it, I can't believe you say no to your number one son, boom, 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 all that kind. Tried to make her feel horrible.
Thank God she said no, though, right? In hindsight, you would have been gone.
Best thing that ever happened is she said no. But at the time, it was not nice. I was pissed off, brother. I was upset and mad. How could you, pour me another drink, that type of mentality.
Right.
So thank God she did.
And then you ended up getting busted for and sent to prison, basically, right?
Yeah.
And how did that go down?
Well, I was doing a drug delivery to make a few bucks, and I decided to, rob the people of the delivery, and just threw a big party.
Which is crazy dangerous, right?
Oh, yes.
When you're robbing other drug dealers,
and this, like I said, this is 1976, and I stole. I was supposed to be delivering 1 kilo, 2.2 pounds of Peruvian flake cocaine worth about $250,000 at the time.
Oh, man.
And as I was driving from Ojai, California to Garden Grove, California, I started hearing a voice in my trunk where the kilo was at saying, pinch me, which in our talk meant take a little bit, take an ounce off, And then by the time we got closer to delivery, I started a ministry called Catch Me If You Can. And I just took it, didn't even care. That kind of mentality, kind of that go big or go home type mentality. And so, boom, so I called up my partners there, man. We started gramming it up. We started doing the coke, and then we needed to come down a few days later. Next thing you know, the cops are there at the house, surrounded the house.
Kind of good that the cops came, right? Because if the people that caught you, that you probably got that from and had to distribute.
Let me tell you, though, payback is a mofo. And let me, there's a rule on the streets back in the old school days. We had a rule in the streets: when you're arrested, all debts are canceled. These guys didn't know about that.
Oh.
I got released 2 years later, and they were at my door. And I had to do some quick talking. I'll go get the money. Well, boom, boom, boom. Like I never saw him again. When a man's ways are pleasing to the Lord, even his enemies become at peace with him. That's the verse I stood on that day and wrote it till today. But yeah, oh no, not a smart thing. I was very ignorant, didn't care, and just, for some reason I thought I had a Superman cape on or something. It's just
when you're on drugs, you do crazy things, right?
It's unreal. You're out of your mind, insanity, stupid. Beyond. And then still we'll try to blame it. Well, if my dad wouldn't have left. Well, if my mom would have done that. Well, if that girl would have loved me. Just the blame game, like it's been going on since Adam and Eve from the beginning.
Sure. So you get busted.
So I get busted. And they sentenced me to 1 to 10 years in prison. So back in those days, every year you go before the parole board. But when I got to Chino State Prison over there, some guys go, hey, the girls come to the jail visits here and sing some songs. So when Jesus said, follow me and I'll make you to be fishers of men, well, you got to have some bait. Well, so that's how I looked at it. I'm going to go listen to these girls sing at the little chapel service at Chino. And I get there, there's no girls singing there, but some white, portly old white fella, bald-headed guy, comes out and starts sharing the message about Jesus. And I was just ripe for the picking. I was just about 30 years old, ripe for the picking.
Oh, so you were running hard for a while then.
Oh, yeah. I went for a long time, from the 15-year, had my heart broken. Nobody's going to tell me nothing, me against the world, to, almost 30 years old. And this guy, says the message. And then, he challenged him. There was about 50 of us in the room. He goes, anybody want to give their life to Jesus today? And and he said, stand up right now. And that was difficult because, I got to live with all these characters, And I never knew a Christian that I thought was a hard guy, just some soft people, jailhouse religion. So standing up, I know it's God now.
What year is this?
1977.
Okay, so it's early. You don't have these ministries that were, these neighborhood ministries.
Oh yeah,
say, right?
No.
Victory outreaches or praise chapels. This is kind of like early on in the game before you would find people like that.
Oh yeah,
you were kind of the people were square that were Christians
completely. It wasn't anything that I looked at and admired or wanted to be. It was totally. I go, who is this guy? But his words, God was right there. And so, man, I dedicated my life to the Lord that day. And then I got hungry, just like the Bible says, as a newborn babe. I mean, I was thirsting. And I just went like I did anything else. So, I just went full bore.
So you had an encounter.
Yeah, I had
a full encounter that day.
Yeah, I didn't speak in tongues, didn't see.
Just like an encounter. Because a lot of people, they give their life to God and it's just a prayer. But you gave your life to God, and it
was in. And then like I said, in a matter of time, I had somebody give me a Bible. I started cracking it open, and I started applying it right away. I had to tell other inmates, "Hey, man, I can't wait to see what's for her dinner." And they're going, "Why are you talking like that?" Inmates don't know. What do you mean dinner? It's slop. It's all this stuff, And so, and then when I said, "I can't wait to get back to my bedroom," like, what are you talking about? That's a cell, because I read the part, we're seated in heavenly places. And then at midnight, I just start praising the Lord because I read Paul. It was locked up. So I got into it real quick. But then, like I said, I had to start a God's gang. So before you know it, I got a crew I'm rolling with in the prison system. And, we weren't that, we're still, carnal. So, we were,
But you were trying to be saved.
Be saved, but at the same time, we were rough around the edges.
Sure.
And, let people know you don't want to mess with those Christians, which is a good thing, but it's gotten me in trouble, because pride's still there. So, but yeah, I got into it, and I'm not kidding you. I became a model inmate, not thinking about becoming a model. It was just part of it. Even my wife today, she remember when she used to go visit me, she goes, "You don't care if you get out, do you?" And I go, "No, it's just a matter of, I learned to be content where I'm at, and I don't want to just get out to come back in again." So, yeah, I was serious, 100% serious. I mean, hardcore,
And in jail, you have to be hardcore, right? You can't be.
Oh yeah, they'll get you.
The inmates will get you if you're flaking and perpetrating.
They get you quick because they're offering this, offering that, and all that kind of stuff. But I picked up a good little crew, and people knew it was rolling. Hey, that's a God's Gang group over there, and they love the Lord, but don't mess with him. And like I said, that ended up becoming our tag, our label, which is a good thing. But at some point or another, it took me a while to realize you got to get, that can even get prideful.
Yeah, I mean things get out of control, and yeah. So once again, Phil's leading the gang.
I'm leading the gang, exactly. And then so they let me out 2 years later. They let me out of there, and I just.
Were you scared about getting out? I mean, were you worried, like, okay, now I don't have that structure that I had in prison? You got some sort of structure, because a lot of guys go to the joint and they have this structure, and they can't really live outside that structure.
For me, I was fortunate. I had an ex-con that came in that mentored me, so he let me know all the way, when you get out, find a local church. When after the preacher speaks, make sure you go up and thank him for the message. I mean, it was hardcore discipleship. And this guy was great at it. So when I came out, first thing I did, found a church, got in there, told the pastor, hey, I'm here to volunteer, whatever. So they had me doing bus ministry, doing this, doing that. I mean, I just dove in head first. And then I said, man, I got this hunger for the word. So then they sent me to a Bible college. I went to a Baptist Bible college, clean cut, crazy, independent fundamental Baptist, where I had to wear a suit and tie every day.
The Baptists are strict on a lot of things.
Oh, brother, I became meaner in that Baptist church than I wasn't on the streets. I mean, you got to have a haircut all the time. This, that, like I says, we always preaching against the dance, the disco, and
right.
Women wearing pants. I mean, it was just a very conservative, but it was good for me because.
So how does the hippie guy end? Open, just everything. End up in a Baptist church?
Oh, I'm telling you, only the Lord. Only the Lord.
It must have been God,
because we were living in a little apartment. I got an apartment downtown Anaheim, boom, like that. It got caught on fire, and so I needed a place to live. So a brother of mine had a little trailer, single wide trailer in Paris, California, which is hell on earth to me. Out in the middle of the desert.
Still pretty bad out there.
And so here I move out there, and that's where I found this church that the pastor took me in, paid for my Bible college, and got me a job with security at Paris Airport at the skydiving place. So it was just how the Lord, he's got all of our steps ordered there. It's just getting onto it. So I was just hopping online, just hardcore, 100% hard worker, picking up kids on the bus, teaching junior church, doing all this kind of stuff. Now going to school, Bible college. While I was in Bible college, I'm meeting people that to this day are friends of mine, but it was perfect because I needed to get under a set of rules that were like boot camp. So for the next 2 years, I became a Baptist, Bible thumping, soul winning street guy. And so, then I got called back to Anaheim because there was a pastor who had a church in Anaheim called Anaheim Baptist Church who said, I'd like to hire you at my church to work for me. So I got to go back to my neighborhood, back to my town, with a job, parsonage to live in, and my first job was extended day care worker. In other words, just babysitting kids in the Christian school.
Okay, so what about your family? Are they believing that this guy running hard for 15 years is now running the bus at church in Bible college? Are they tripping out?
They're slowly starting to become believers. Slowly, ever so slowly, but one at a time. They did the last one to jump on board with me because I got a bunch of brothers and sisters. The hardest to jump on board was my mom. I mean, here I go on Baptist thing, and then I ended up, like I says, filling up our Baptist church I worked for with all my friends. So I got women coming in there with their butts hanging out, their boobs hanging out, smelling like every drug in the world. And the Baptist church deacons were going, man, you got to start bringing some different people. I go, this is who I attract. I got that sign on my forehead, coming to me, you're all jacked up. And so they, in a nice way, asked me to start my own church. And I did. I started Set Free Baptist Church in 1982. That was the name of it, Set Free Baptist Church.
Where was that, in Anaheim?
Anaheim, California, downtown, a little gang neighborhood, right in the worst part of Anaheim. It was a beautiful place. But back with my mother, the last one on board, she came to church service there. I got 50 people. I'm rolling strong. This is cool and stuff like that. I'm up there preaching. My mother stands up in the middle of service and says, I wouldn't believe this guy. He's a con. And so
your own mother.
My own mother, who, by the grace of God, on her way to heaven, was the biggest Jesus freak, biggest Set Free supporter. But yeah, back to getting the family going. No, it took years.
Wow.
It took years, but I ended up, because the Lord allowed it to happen, leading every brother of mine, sister, mom, dad, mother-in-law, father-in-law. My father-in-law became a Set Free pastor before he went to heaven. I mean, so yeah, just, God did it. God did it all. It was just totally Him, because I wouldn't have trusted me.
Right.
And I've always figured, though, God's hard up. Boy, Lord, it seemed like you would have called somebody else other than me, I mean, because people aren't putting in their applications nowadays or something.
All right, Phil, come on in.
Yeah, exactly. I still feel that way, but hey, it's all right.
So you start Set Free Ministry.
Yes.
And, back in the day, I remember the ministry, right? I told my wife there was Set, I think I told Shell this in the thing. There was Set Free. I was dating my wife. It was Set Free Pomona. Her father had a church in Pomona. And so I was like, one day she goes, "Hey, I went to this concert." I was like, "Where?" We were dating, right? So I'm freaking out. Like, where you going to a concert without me? What the heck's going on? She said, "Oh, I was at this church called Set Free. They had these rappers. It was cool, man." And I think Chill told me the pastor's name. I forgot his name.
Pastor Eddie Benalis.
Yeah, Eddie Benalis, right? I think he still pastors over there.
He's over there, yeah.
Still pastors. I know a couple guys that know him still. That's right. And so I was freaking out. But I remember the name. This was probably early 90s, maybe 90s,
right.
Somewhere in there. And you guys were, they were everywhere. You guys were everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So you're booming.
Well, when it started, like I said, I was just a little warehouse downtown in the gang neighborhood they're doing, just taking people into my house, boom, 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 getting people off drugs. In those days, we didn't have any medical detox, if you're a heroin addict, just lay there, here's some peanut butter jam sandwiches,
Cold turkey.
Trust in Jesus. Dr. Jesus was our physician. We didn't have meds, anything like that, but Jesus worked big time doing it. And so we're doing this, and little do I know, I was teaching, to make a buck, I was teaching karate lessons on the side. So this lady comes in, and she's a cool looking lady, and she's a court stenographer, this, that, like that. Looks like she got a few bucks, drives in a new Jag, and says, "I want to learn karate." And then she sees that I'm helping all these homeless people or anything like that. She goes, "Hey, I'd like to help out." Little did I know, her husband was a cameraman at a place called Trinity Broadcasting Network.
Okay.
TBN. So, boom, so her husband finds out that I take people in off the streets. So every time somebody calls, they're homeless at TBN, they go, where do they send them? They send them to me. Jan Crouch, who is in heaven now, but she was the owner of TBN at the time. And TBN in those days, in the late 80s and 90s, was the biggest microphone on planet Earth.
So for everybody out there that don't know TBN, if you're from SoCal, it was Channel 40. You turn it into Channel 40 on that dial.
24 hours
right?
a day.
UHF's side of the dial, and you would watch Channel 40, and they would have preachers. They'd have that 714 number at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
You call that number on the bottom.
Money.
They would ask for money, but they had some good people there too that wanted to help some people, right? So it was Christian TV, I guess Christian TV, way before Christian TV, right? It was huge. It was the only thing they had.
It was huge, 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 and every preacher who wanted to do anything wanted to try to get on there.
Get on there, right?
And they were referred to as Pentecostal people, tongue talking, healing, Benny the Hen, all these different characters are on there. And me, like I said, I was warned about those people. They're a little bit too wild, And I was warned.
Wait, you were warned about them?
Yes, yeah. Our Baptist churches, they said, watch out for them people at TBN. They'll get you talking in tongues and doing this crazy stuff. We were warned about Calvary Chapel. They'll get you crossing your legs smoking weed. So, everybody's got a different look on their. Watch out for them Praise Chow people. There's always somebody, watch out for those people.
Victory Outreach people to jump you. You know what I mean?
Oh, they beat you with their Bibles. They still do that. So here I was, like I said, just doing what I do. Feeding the homeless, taking people in, getting them off of drugs and all that stuff. She became my secretary, and she told her husband, hey, when people need a place to stay, send them to Pastor Phil. So Jan Crouch, like I said, beautiful wigs, big eyelashes, crazy. Everybody thinks she's like Tammy Faye Baker or something like that. But anyway, this lady just loves souls. Her husband was a businessman, and they were like big time.
Yeah.
I mean, big. I'm talking,
they were huge.
Billions, not millions, billions. And so they come, all of a sudden they show up at my little warehouse church. And Jan Crouch, for whatever reason, she comes up and she goes, I have never met anybody more like Jesus than you.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going, oh, that's pretty humbling, like I said, because I know me, so she's saying that. But anyway, she goes, what can I do to help you? And I go, well, we need places for people to stay. She started buying homes.
Wow.
And then I said, I can't own any of these homes because I took a vow of poverty like a priest would, because I don't want people to think I'm in it for the money. But she started buying his homes. We'd fill them up. And then the next thing she does is she invites me to give my testimony on TBN. Now, these are basically a bunch of white preachers on there, a few black preachers, but very conservative and very country-ish and different.
Right.
So here I came on.
A little gaudy.
Yeah.
Like in the set design.
A lot gaudy.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean.
Just it was a little over the top. I mean, it was right.
Fake gold everywhere.
So to see a guy like you on TBN, okay, this is the question I have for you. Did they really like you, or were you kind of like the token street guy that they wanted to kind of use for their channel?
All of the above.
Okay,
all of the above.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
It really
so it was kind of like I help you, you help me.
Yeah, I just like they wanted me. I figured like I was a pet monkey coming on at first, because I'm the one that felt weird about it going on there. Because, everybody else wearing their polyester pants and this and that, and I'm wearing Levi's or shirts because I was influenced by a guy named Arthur Blessed.
Okay.
Walked around the world with a cross. He wore Levi's and a shirt and long hair. So, man, I found out, like I says, in Bible college, they told me dress for success. You can't reach people if you aren't dressed in a suit. I found out that not to be true. So here I was, I'm going on TBN. There's Pat Boone, there's all these famous people, Christian preachers.
Nicky Cruz.
They were the worst.
David Wilkerson.
Nikki and Sonny were the worst on me because they bought the suit thing,
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I come in there, I got a ponytail now, wearing a leather jacket on there, I'm flying some tattoos in there. And they were the hardest on me, as Nikki and them. But Paul and Jan loved me so much in our ministry that they would rebuke those guys. Hey,
wow.
Because Arsenio Hall was a TV show going on at the time where, everybody in the audience would go, woof, 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 like a dog. So my people, they're not the amen or hallelujah, praise, Jesus, none of that stuff. They were, woof, 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 and so when I come on, the dog pound. So I filled up the studio all the time. And so I just given my testimony on there was amazing. But grandmas, because they always refer to all the grandmas, they have hundreds of phones that people call in. Grandmas all over America call in. If God can save that man, He could save my grandson or my wild kid or I was a kind of a token representative of, look at it.
Right.
You think you got a black sheep? We got one right here on stage, successful. And I mean,
that's a powerful thing, right? That's a very powerful thing in the finding the identity in church, right? Or finding somebody that looks like you in church. I think that I always say that I always say that that's a very powerful thing because for a long time I wasn't the suit guy either, maybe a button up, stuff like that. But I would laugh because I'd get the older guys that would tell me, "Oh, you got to wear this or wear that," and I would, what my comeback was? My comeback was this: one day somebody's gonna walk in that's dressed like me, and they're gonna say, "Oh, that guy's dressed like me," in their mind, right? And they're gonna be like, "Okay, this is cool. I can chill here." So somebody walking in and identifying themselves with a Christian or a member of the church is a powerful thing, right?
I remember watching Christian TV before TBN I ever heard of it. There was a lady. She wore a dress all the way on the floor. I can't think of her name. She's like a healing lady. And she'd get on there, and I go, "Oh, this lady's weird. She's weird." And then I see a choir. They all got these wardrobe. They all look the same. All their teeth look good. Everything just like you said. I couldn't relate to any of them.
Right.
I couldn't relate to them. So that's why the Noah's Ark type church was what I was thinking about. Bikers, businessmen, bums, beauties, whatever, every kind coming there, and they see it. So when I came on there, it just, it was unreal, though. Like, I'd give my testimony, and then they had me interviewed by a guy named John Jacobs from the Power Team. Muscle guys.
He would tear the phone books in half.
Yeah. And then I was on there with Jeff Fenhold, who was one of them famous heavy metal bands and stuff like that. And so, we were just becoming all things to all people that we might win some to Christ. But Jan and Paul literally fell in love with what we did, home after home. And then they wanted us to do a ranch in Texas, and then a ranch in Chicago.
Wow.
And they were helping. And then we topped it off. And it's kind of like my friend Michael. It's like Garth Brooks then wants to do a song. Then Simon Way. It all sounds good, but brother, when you're shooting for the stars and you're going up the air gets a little thin.
Yeah.
People aren't used to being drunk, inebriated by money or power or everybody coming up. Oh, you're the greatest. You're the best, better than all the rest.
Especially coming from where you came from, nothing.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And now I'm a few years out of prison, and all this is just blowing up,
happening just like that. And there was no Sonny leading a guy like me. No, I was pioneering my own trail. I started a biker ministry right after I had my own skateboard park before Christian Soy and them know what a skateboard was. I mean, I was just doing all this stuff because it was people go, hey man, I'm a skater. You got anything for skate? We'll make one. Hey, I like punk rock. Hey, we'll start a punk rock band. I had the first drummer for Sublime was in my program. I've worked with music people, and then when my kids wanted to do hip-hop, I go, hell no, not a chance. Unless you change the lyrics. What did they do? Boom, MJ, Chill, started changing the lyrics. I had an older son, Geronimo, doing it with him. And then in churches, you could see people, black churches, where they go like this.
Right.
And then in my church, I entered the Shrine Auditorium contest at McDonald Gospel Fest. I started my own little gospel singer, but I had my crew roll their shoulders. Oh, my God. When I had them roll their shoulders, brother, it was on and popping. And then MC Hammer in the 90s was popular, so it was dance crews. I had break dancers, and so was, my biggest enemies were the church. You got the devil in the church, man. You're letting them dance. You're letting them rap. Now everybody's got a rap group.
It was a totally different time. I grew up in Praise Chapel. Started one of the first rap groups in Praise Chapel. Don't ask, guys, okay, out there. But it was a different time, and it was like unheard of, right? I'm out there beatboxing on a bullhorn, on the corner. They're outreaching. Hey, let us do something real quick and get on the mic, or the bullhorn and start beatboxing, and the guy's rapping. But it was a little like, hold up. And our church wasn't super conservative. We did plays and all that, but when you started doing a little bit more, it kind of like caused a little,
especially
like,
when it becomes popular.
Yes,
I got a little warehouse, no air conditioning, nothing, rented chairs, fold up chairs downtown. Like I said, I started 40, 50, 70 people. When I started going on TBN, there'd be 10 more visitors the next week.
Wow.
Then 20 more visitors the next week. Then 50 more the next week. I'm talking about each week, just for me going on there.
Yeah.
People come because they were curious, come because they're nosy, come to condemn, and come for help. And I started a biker ministry. It wasn't to be cool, but we all wear leathers and stuff like that. So they became my deacons. They were my ushers at the door.
So you were just doing things that either like you liked, right?
Yeah.
I'm from the street. I like graffiti. I can identify with that. I like motorcycles. Hey, the motorcycle people need to come to Jesus too. Let's just do it. So whatever was working, however you can draw people in, let's do it.
Yeah, so I had the beeper crew because they used to have a thing called beepers.
Yeah,
it was just people. With ministry after ministry, just people. But the ones that stand out always will be the people dressed like bikers. There'll be 25 bikers, and people go, "Oh man, they had 1,000." That type of thing. And everybody I found out wants to be hugged by a good biker in a leather jacket when they come into church. So I just had that Chick-fil-A, welcome, our pleasure being here. Customer service. It would be an experience coming. Now they're seeing me on TV. What really blew everything up, but put the dagger in my own coffin, is when Jan goes, I want you to have your own program. Okay. Now think about this. People are into likes, social media, views, all that. Brother, I got millions of people.
Because we're talking worldwide.
And
this is not like, there's no YouTube for you to watch a live stream. There's no phone, right?
No phone.
All you had was one channel, and every Christian watched that one channel.
And even
right?
if they
around the world,
even if they denied watching it, they were watching it.
yeah,
because we know Snoop Dogg.
There was some good stuff on there. I mean, there was it was some of it was
Jack
was
Van
corny,
Eppie,
but
yeah.
there was some. I mean, I like David Wilkerson back in the day. I mean, it was good. I watched Crossing the Switchblade. I would see Nikki Cruz on there. I would see different stuff. They did have the Power Team. So as a little kid, of course you want to watch the Power Team rip a phone book. Bend a frying pan, right? It was all we had, right?
Exactly. Let me tell you. So here I am. That's all good. But like I says, Jan, this is what happened next. She started coming over my house. She wants to hang out with me over there. She goes, see, because in her first movie, she goes, I want to watch a movie called Airplane. You got it? So here I am. She said, I can get with you because you won't judge me. So, I was a comfortable place where they know, we watch TV over here. We watch Hollywood movies, we're not that spiritual.
Right.
But they started coming over, and Paul, her husband's doing all this business. Then they invite me to become a member of their board. 5 members on the board. All the rest of them are family members. But they got me on there because they believe me so much. And I'm going, I'm just getting drunk with power that I don't even know how to control.
From the time you got out of prison to being on the board, how many years are we talking?
82 to 78 to 92.
Okay,
78 to 92.
So you had some years under your belt already, but it's still a fast climb.
Oh, it's still a fast climb.
I mean, that's meteoric climb. I mean, it's just flying fast.
Yeah, and it was nonstop. That's why I said 10 each week, 20 each week, 50 each week.
Because at that time, there was probably you weren't going higher than Channel 40. If you're on Channel 40, you reach.
You're there.
You're up there, right?
Yeah, you're at the top. You're at the top. Yeah. And everybody, then I got everybody asking me to come and speak in my church, and I'm going, my people like to hear Chewy or Louie or Gooey. They're not into some famous, they just weren't into that. They're not trained like that because 80% of the people got saved at our church, so they think Set Free. So we had a taco shop across the street there, and my mom would bring breakfast burritos and stuff. And so in our church, it was a warehouse. So we didn't carpet it real nice because I know what happens if you carpet it real nice. Then you don't want nobody drinking coffee or spilling anything on it. I wanted them to feel at home. So they're eating breakfast burritos hearing me, but there was none of these.
Yeah.
So here they come. We're doing that stuff. So the final thing that really killed it in a good and a bad way is she goes, I want you to have your own program. I go, oh, my God. Think about somebody today knowing that you're going to have a 28-minute, 30-second program on there that millions of people are going to tune in. And she asked me to pick what time slot I wanted.
Oh, man.
I said I want 11:30 on a Friday night because that's when all my people are up, running around doing nothing or getting wasted.
Or settling down.
Or
now they just put it on the TV.
Right there.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's losing,
Sure.
and Snoop Dogging around.
And back then, there was only so many channels you could watch.
Because everybody does it now, just like they'll be tuning in on this.
Yeah.
I got people all the time. I just got through talking to a good friend of mine who's the head pastor for Grand Canyon University. And I needed a favor because one of my kids wants to go there, my grandkids. And so I go, hey, let me tell you what I'm up to. And he goes, oh, I've been watching all your stuff. I haven't talked to him for years, but I mean, people, they Google, they know more about what's going on in my life than I do. So here I am. That was the final blessing and blow. It was like Garth Brooks going to sing for you. Here's the golden buzzer, but now
blessing and the
bend
curse,
over,
right?
Oh yeah, no Vaseline. I'm telling you, brother, just it blessing and a curse. Just like being good looking. Look at you. Come on. You know what it's like. It's not easy being good looking.
Easy.
You know what I mean? I'm just telling you.
I appreciate that.
I watch how life works. I've been around a long time, And so here, boom, next. So, okay, Set Free 24/7 show. And so I got my kids out there breakdancing. I got them rapping. I had the greatest groups, music, you can believe me. I'm from the Larry Norman days, old school. Why should the devil have all the good music? We had all the best music, all this stuff. Then I get up there, and I'm just a different type package, than they're used to, so they're paying attention. So the church just, was going about 400 or 500 people. Then, brother, it was like 100 each week. And then,
growing.
Brother, it was growing. And now the fire department's coming, too many people in church. Code enforcement's coming. The police chief, Anaheim, who knows me well, going, this is nice. You're helping all these people like us, but what if you decide to go the other way and they follow you that way? Man, I had 5-6 neighborhood gangs at a time there. Anaheim had the Rams camp going on at that time. So I had football players that were in trouble getting the drugs in my program.
Wow.
Detoxing over there. So I challenged every gang in Orange County. We'll play you a game. If you guys win, I'll buy you a keg of beer. If you lose, you got to come to Bible study. We beat everybody. I was leasing 30 homes at the time, 400 plus people living in our homes, but it was looking like an army. And especially when you got a pastor who already doesn't dress or look. Harleys all lined up in front. All the ushers are bikers hugging you at the door, coming in there, I mean, it was just went from hundreds.
At the max, how many people did you have?
We had, in the max, at our warehouse building, because we ended up leasing the whole block, we had like 3,000 people.
Wow.
Adults.
So
I rented it.
A mega church before mega churches, basically.
Oh, way before,
day,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then I had another building a couple blocks away that was for the junior church kids. I had 1,000 kids in junior church.
Gee.
The skate park. And so here I'm getting it from the city, this, like that, just unreal. It was amazing. And then on top of that, we had outreach groups. Every week we do outreaches, call them. And then we started calling them takeovers because then you didn't need permits like you do nowadays. We would just go to Dickerson Gardens. We go to Grape Street, South Central. We go everywhere, like I says. And I used to take a group, maybe 15, 20 of us, and then anytime anybody would come with us, I'd invite everybody. They'd come with us. They had so much fun. They had such a great time that they told somebody else. Before you know it, I was doing outreaches at Cunningham, the football player, some Philadelphia Eagle football player, at his church in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I'd be driving to Vegas. We'd have 1,500 people going with us to the outreach.
Wow.
Because people saw.
I mean, you can't even get 10 people now to go on outreach.
Oh, yeah. No, it was a movement of God.
How did you learn all this stuff, though? Because it's easy to pattern off of, people create online, how-tos all the time. You were doing it, and there was you didn't have anybody above you. You kind of were just going for it. How did you start that? How did that happen?
Well, some people would describe it as me being a cult leader and brainwashing people into, you're having fun. You will like this. But it was a training and seeing the joy that, earning Jesus bucks, knowing that this was he that winneth souls is wise. And it was just part of it, but it was a come as you are too. And it was always like the greatest day. We would have on Saturday night, people would put Bibles on seats to save them. On Saturday night. I mean, they were all filled up.
A whole day before the service.
A whole day before service. They would come. We would have people, service would officially, they go, when the service started? They go, whenever you get here. Because we had to rent a big parking lot a couple blocks away, but people were there 2-3 hours before service. And then when service started, I got videos of it, 2-3 hours of service. And then my kids would wait in line, Jill will tell you, wait in line for 3 or 4 hours to talk to me because I stayed there and talked to everybody that wanted to talk to me. We just had, it was, it might not sound spiritual, but we had such a community, such a family, so much fun and get-togethers and helping. And as some people go, they were looking what kind of agenda it was. There wasn't any agenda. It was amazing to me. It was totally like people go, how's this happening? How's this happening? And Lonnie Frisbee, who had been part of the Jesus People movement with Calvary and Vineyard, said this is just like the tent days and Jesus People. It was one of those things where somebody would like to take credit, but I'm not kidding you. It was one of those things that I didn't know how.
It was supernatural.
Yeah, supernatural, but at the same time, people want you to write a syllabus, put a program, show us how you did it.
Exactly.
Because you got conferences every day, preachers, they're like everybody wants to have a mega. I said, you want to have mega problems, is what you want to have, because somebody's not going to like your hamburgers,
right?
Just how it is. And then plus, like I tell people, especially like my buddy Michael, it says when you're good looking like that and you play the guitar and you're singing up there, like I have a pastor friend named Tim Story, good friend of mine. I help him do his church, and I go, Tim, if you ever get married, you're going to lose half your congregation because half of them are by faith that's going to be my man, because when you're on stage, there's something that happens, people look.
Did that start to affect you?
Oh, yeah.
Because supernaturally, the Spirit's moving, Holy Spirit's moving. You went into it with I believe a heart for people. You just wanted to see people saved, and it starts being good. And then, I mean, the biggest thing of man falling, right, is pride.
Yeah.
Is pride. When did that start?
My hero, like you talked about it. My hero, of course, and any soldier warrior's hero is King David.
Yeah.
And here he is dealing. He was just a little sheep herder and all cool, and everything's cool like that. And then once he killed the giant, everybody's going, wow, this, and he gets enemies real quick. And that just happens. He gets enemies, and then David gets in the position, like I said, where he's king of Israel and he's running everything. But like I said, he's a human being, and he gets anytime we're left unaccountable, and that's what happened. I didn't have a pioneer to show me how to do this.
Did you not have one because you didn't want one, or were maybe some of those leaders you mentioned, like Nicky Cruz or even Sonny, kind of like pulled away from you? Maybe if they kind of put you under their wing a little bit and said, "Hey, let me show you," or you didn't want that.
No, I don't want to blame. Like I said, they just weren't my flavor. Remember, okay. I'm hardcore to the wall, coconut raised and proud of it. Not one of these things. I'm not going to grab hold of the rasa of this or that and everything like that.
They were just different.
Yeah, they were just totally different.
Right.
And so for me, I was in. I still, when I go integrate places right now, people go, Chief's going to integrate this place. He's going to bring a bunch of the white people, because, hey, I look at them. They're like relics now. They're going to be eBay pretty soon, or they're feeling bad about being white, and so that whole thing. So for me, it was, they're just Maus. Come on, it's not going to happen.
It was way.
You're Puerto Rican, Nicky Cruz. I mean, you're Sonny. I mean, you guys. I just couldn't relate to that.
And you were SoCal. That's New York. Right,
totally.
Big difference.
It was a whole thing, and I watched Across the Switchblade. I loved all that kind of stuff, like I said, but that just wasn't me. So what me was, the problem, like I said, that I learned the hard way, because I remember the first time I heard that verse, "Can a man take fire in his bones and not get burnt?"
Yeah.
My first thought was, "How burnt will I get?" I don't ever ask for permission to do things. I just ask for forgiveness later if necessary. That's carried along all the way through to this day. And definitely ain't going to teach this old dog new tricks on that one unless God intervenes in a mighty way. And he does. Two kinds of people in this world. People humble, people on the way to getting humble. So here I was.
That's good.
No, Nicky, those guys, I just didn't relate to them. And they were cool and all that kind of stuff. So I was blazing my own trail. But I was blazing a trail that right now today there's Christian motorcycle clubs all over that all started as Set Free. There's rap groups all over, Whitey or what's his name, Praise Chapley. Frosty, all those guys, are all come-alongs, way after my day. I mean,
I mean, it's true. I mean, when Chill told the story, I had a lot of people like, is this true? Is this true? Like, is this legit? And I would say, yeah, Google it. Yeah. Chill's over here saying, well, you played all the LA Unified schools, and then you can Google it and it's there. So all the stories that we hear from you guys and this ministry and everything, it is definitely true. The part that is controversial, though.
There's a few parts that are controversial.
So I'll be honest with you. So I had a guy, Pomona guy, and I didn't. He's a Pomona legend. Let's just say that. Like he's a hood rich dude. Been in Pomona, represents. When I had Chill on, he's a good friend of mine. He messaged me. I didn't know that this, before we were friends. We've probably been friends maybe 10, 12 years, maybe a little bit longer. He went to church. And so I was kind of like tripping out because he goes, "Hey, man, you had that guy Chill on?" And I said, "Yeah." And I didn't even know he listened to the podcast, right? And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, man, I don't really trust him and his dad, man." And he goes, "I went to their church when I was young." And I said, "I'm sorry, man. I believe it's changed, and I apologize." But he was very bitter. Mm-hmm. So I think with Set Free, it's very polarizing.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's more polarizing than anything you ever heard of, because you have people that are like, "Well, that ministry changed my life," right? And then you have people that go, "Now that ministry messed up my life.
Right. You're right.
Right. And so what do you say to that? I mean, here's the chance.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've heard this before. If people Google Phil, there's a million things. And we're going to get to one other thing I wanted to ask you about. There's a million things on there. If they Google Set Free, there's a million things. It's a cult. Started good, ended bad. Don't trust nobody from there. There's a lot of stuff. But then there is those things where people say, no, it wasn't all bad. Right. And what do you say to that, Phil?
Well, yeah, all the above is correct. There's no doubt. But
it's fair.
It's kind of like that's why I was telling you early off taping. You know, my next book is going to be "Don't Get Married, Don't Have Children," because what I found out, not only in my life but in every parent's life. You know, I talk to them, how's everything going, boom, boom. Then I talk to their kids, and their kids all got stories. My dad didn't play catch with me. My dad didn't do that. My mom didn't do that. Everybody, and your kid's going to be the same way, everywhere. Now, picture that you're a pastor, overseer in a family. I have found out over the last, because in 1993, I said goodbye to my local Anaheim church. I had a farewell service.
Why, though?
Why? Because I had personal issues. I was like a King David there. I was, like I said, he got into his, Bathsheba. I got into my Bathshebas.
Okay.
So
that's true.
Oh yeah, that is true.
So good.
Yeah, that is true.
Because some people are online and they'll say, like, oh, there was a lot of stuff. He doesn't admit to that, but there it is.
Yeah,
on the Street Gospel Podcast.
You heard it first right here.
All right.
So here that's going on. There was never any money, anything like that, or power tripping. Like it says, I got my guys with me who are my assistants. They're my interns, but because they're wearing biker stuff, they're my hitmen. They're my torpedoes. They're, they're my thugs.
Let me ask you this. So was there a gradual slide downhill, right? Because like David in the Bible, I always say this. There's one little part that I always tell everybody that we miss with David. Mighty warrior, killed Goliath, went to war. David should have been at war.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
But he went to the roof, and that's when he saw Bathsheba from the roof, right, taking a bath. All right. So he should have been at war. Did you stop warring?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, that happened. And so here I was. I got pour me another drink. The where you become that person, that just starts like a whiner, like it says, it's so hard and all that kind of stuff. So here I was. I had personal issues that I had to deal with. So we started to build another place because the city made us leave. We overpopulated our permits and everything like that. We opened up another place. Paul and Jan were there for our grand opening. 6,000 people showed up, and we went over the limit again. So during that time, hey, I was just pissed off at life. And somebody might say, man, you had all that going on and you just threw it all away. My last handbook that I wrote is called How to Build an Empire and How to Burn One Down.
I saw that.
And I let people know that I'm probably better at the latter. So, these things over.
And it's happened over time with everybody, right? From athletes to pastors to stars to businessmen.
Yeah,
you get it all, and the people that don't have it all don't really understand.
You just don't notice it if you've never done it. Like
right.
I says, it's that type of thing. So here I was. I'm burnout. I'm pissed off. I got a TV show. I got all this stuff. Hey, it doesn't make you happy. We preach that. We know that. But like I said, here I was and all that. So I said, I'm going to have my farewell service. At the farewell service there, I've got close to 8,000 people in the stands of Glover Stadium in Anaheim. I rented the stadium for that service. And I'm there. I said, go to another Set Free. By this time, we had over 100 Set Frees started from Gold Coast, Australia to Madrid, Spain,
Wow.
You name it. I says, go find another one or go to another church. Basically, I'm expecting them to realize I'm jacked up. My life's messed up. I didn't give them all the juicy details. But I said, my life's messed up. And I was given the farewell to benefit them.
So you didn't do the Jimmy Swagger thing, cry and do all that. You just said, hey, I need to step out.
Yeah, I need to step out,
Okay. Which in fairness, is an honorable thing.
I thought so.
Because a lot of people would have hung on still.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, no. Believe me, I've had it asked. You had thousands of followers that didn't care about all the bullshit they heard. What would you have done different? You know? And my point of it was like this, when I was doing that, 100%, I can say that through all the years, God is my witness, like I says. I didn't mean anything but good on the people. But what I found out since 1993 to now, because of social media, messages, texts, emails. I mean, I've heard from everybody. Remember me from 83? Remember me from 84? I get day and night I get messages. So I have people go, you know what? Set Free was my life. When you left, it was abandonment issues. Oh, I've heard that hundreds of times.
Church hurt, all that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
hundreds of times. And at first, it was, hey, grow up, But now I really see how it is. And there's no doubt about it. There's no more damage you can do. Like I said, when you give them a place, a home, place they feel loved, all this stuff, you give them a ministry and all this kind of stuff, it's just like daddy leaving home. And that's why I said in the work that I do now, I'm a daddy target all the time, And hey, you be my dad.
Did you said that you didn't realize it right away. You would tell people like, hey, grow up or whatever.
Yeah, I got my own problems.
Yeah, I got my own problems. When did you finally realize, like, there was some good, but yeah, and you kind of acknowledge there was some hurt there for a lot of people?
Well, so here I am, got a mega church, got a mega TV program, all that kind of stuff like that. But I knew that I've been, caught my hand in the cookie jar. I'm living in sin. I got to get out of here. I can't do it anymore. I'm going to do you guys a favor. I'm out of here. I had cars. Trained to Serve Jesus has been one of our logos all over the place, like it says, and on my license plate says Biker, B-I-K-R, Pass, Biker Pass, everything, representing who I am. As soon as I left Anaheim for that thing, moved to Venice Beach, I took off that, and I put shit-faced and pissed off on my van. Big old sticker, shit-faced and pissed off. And then on my license plate, I put Chief. That's been my nickname since 1994, Chief. And then of sinners underneath that, painted on cool Astro van, all low righted out, all the stuff like. My thing is I'm gonna shoot straight. Hey, this is who I am. Take it or leave it.
Were you? What was it though? Was it just you were just bitter? You seem like you put that stuff on your van, on your bike, and everything. Were you just done with church? Because you at that point you had to be saved about 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, I was definitely mad at God. Mad at ministry. I was definitely bitter, and but like David, I had a crew that wanted to hang out at the cave still, wherever I go. So I went from doing all that to selling incense on Boardwalk at Venice Beach. Wait a minute. So you had 6,000 members. I'm sure everything was full time, paid for, didn't have to do anything, to selling incense on Venice Beach. Yep. Yeah, we rented a house there. One of my guys who started Little Set Free Venice, rented a house for us and stuff like that. But yeah, I had 4 little things with oils and incense thing. Our guys are making them, and I had 4 of our girls selling incense right there on Venice Beach.
Wow.
And just broke as could be. And we moved into what's called the Oakwood neighborhood of Venice. And that was right in 1994 there. And what was happening there is a war between the Venice Threse and the Shoreline Crips. And that war was going on. People were getting shot each week. But God was showing me that war was going on inside of me. And then at the same time, the Northridge earthquakes happened. And that was happening inside of me. All that was happening. I'm mad at God as could be. And then 4 months later, approximately, I get a phone call, And I call it a call from God. But a pastor of a mega church in Phoenix, Arizona, Tommy Barnett, 14,000 member church, he calls me up. He knows all the stuff that I've done, stuff like that. He says, I need your help. We want to start a church called LA International Church and Dream Center, and my son needs your help, So I was just glad that somebody needed me. I had 4 months of being pissed off at God, pissed off at everybody else, and I had some of my soldiers with me, and they'd ask each day, are we mad at God again still today? I mean, that's how it is when you get.
Why would you say you were mad at God when you say that? People say they're mad at God when their child dies, or they're mad at God when God takes something away. It seems like you kind of gave up what God gave you.
Yeah, I definitely abused what God gave me, and I was mad at God because I got caught. You know, so
that's a rough thing to say. To be honest with you, that is a pretty honest thing to say.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. You know?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people could admit that. You know, I'm mad at God because I got caught. I mean that's
yeah. I wanted my cake and eat it too.
Right.
You know,
I mean that's
and I looked at every way around to try to make that happen, and God wasn't having it. You know.
Wow.
So humble pie. I never did like humble pie, but got it good. And so here I am down to nothing over there. And I can remember I was in a bathroom at Venice Beach, a public bathroom there, and somebody knocking on the door. And they go, Pastor Phil, is that you in there? I go, what do you want? You know, and they go, can you pray for me? Last thing I want to do is pray for people. And while I was living at Venice Beach, that short period of time I was living there, I had my friends from the Boggles Motorcycle Club, Terry the Tramp, come over and go, hey, man, we'll take you in with us. I had my good friend from the Mongols, hey, we'll take you in. I had my good friend from the Hells Angels, you know how it is when you're there because I'm a recruiter. You know, I can help do anything for any organization. But I wasn't done. You know, I needed a big break, you know, and I needed my time out there. And so when Tommy called and says, I need your help, it was just the greatest feeling in the world. It's kind of the same feeling like my friend Michael, who's come and did a concert in my house after he was up there. Hey, I know what it's like to be there. I know what it's like to be a Humpty Dumpty and have a great fall.
Because at that time, nobody wanted to touch you anymore?
Yeah. Well, I was too big for most little people, you know, smaller ministries to want to touch me. So it takes somebody, you know, in a place that could understand, you know, because I'm not the first person that Tommy ever helped out. You know, he helped out Jim Baker. He helped out a lot of people that have fallen or jumped before. So, yeah, it takes, you know, it can be just another pastor down the street. Hey, I want to have a big church. How do I get a big? They're not going to.
They're not going to do anything for you. Somebody bigger.
Yeah, it has to be somebody like us says who really has an impact on my life that I believe is doing something.
Right.
And so Tommy,
somebody you'll listen to.
Yeah, exactly. And so Tommy was there, and his son was just little hostess Twinkie, 20-year-old at the time, and he wanted to come and take over L.A.
Matthew, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he gets over to L.A., and he's got this group called the Masters Commission, or Street Warriors. But when you get to L.A., you find out Street Warriors get the gun pulled out you, and they ran back home. So, you know, it was just the timing of the Lord. So I come back over there now to the Dream Center, and it's Queen of Angels Hospital, 10 acres, hundreds of rooms, got everything there, but it's empty. He's been sitting there begging for 5 years, and Tommy says, I'm not going to get this place if you won't come with me. You know, because he knew his kid had the pure heart, good and stuff like that. Tommy could raise the money, but he knew the Temple Street gang, nobody wanted him there. It wasn't going to happen, you know. So
did you feel again like they were kind of using you a little bit? You're using them a little bit? The token Chicano dude.
Yeah, a lot of people figured that because, you know, I immediately got out there and the whole neighborhood, you know.
And you knew how to.
Yeah, you know, I love the people. I get you know, food for your family will help you out and everything like that. So, you know, some people see it like that. I don't get caught up in that too much, even thinking about that. But definitely, there's some people that feel that they just used me there. So we were there, but next thing you know, within 2 years, I mean, the place blows up. I get Paul and Jen to come out and do the TBN thing there, and we're the fastest growing church in America. You know, here at the Dream Center, going. And but wreckage in my past caught up with me. Had a lawsuit back in Orange County. I had to move back over to Orange County, you know, lawsuit. And L.A. was jamming. I mean, I was speaking at 3. I spoke at every high school and middle school in L.A. County. 6,000 kids a week. We got to get in the kids with their music and got to, you know, give a great message. And they all knew we were Christians and stuff. But, you know, God was calling me back to Orange County. Came back over here and you know, in other words, that whole up and down, I've got to look back in my life, you know, and see, you know, how to build things. I think I'll blow this up. You know?
I think the story, we talked about this earlier off the recording, but the story that we always hear in the Bible is the good stuff about about the heroes of the Bible, right? We got David, he did this, and Samson, he did this, but the human element is in those stories is still there,
Oh, look at Joseph the Dreamer. We talk about Joseph the Dreamer, the kid with a coat of many colors and all that kind of stuff. Here he was, and he gets into Potiphar's house, and he's running the house, and the old lady wants to take him to bed, and then that time, he gets caught, too close for comfort.
Right.
He knew the servants. Yeah, he knows nobody was there, but, everybody plays with fire a little bit, and it's a rough one. Thank God for people that can resist the temptation, but, so that's why I was having all this or having all that. It all sounds good, but getting something is one thing, keeping it is another thing. And so I've always learned the hard way. So here, like I built the Dream Center, I had to come back here for 18 months and face charges in criminal court, in Superior Court for 3 women accusing me of being a cult leader. So I went through that, because
what was the deal? What was the not specific in the court case, but that's what they say. They say you were cultish in your ways of, especially with women. A lot of people have said, the way they treated women was kind of degrading. They're very cultish, sending people here, separating people. People have come out and said a lot of different things about you.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Like I says, we'd assign work crews where they go to work like that. We'd have people who work the telephones at TBN in nighttime. And
how true are those accusations? Did you just maybe run your organization the wrong way because you didn't have an overseer? Or
here's how life works. I got 23 grandkids, and that's my one favorite one. When I take
one favorite one.
When I take him to
Cam's not the favorite. His grandpa told him that the other day. Then he tried to take it back.
Hey, so I take my favorite grandkid to Disneyland, and on the way there, I go, listen, anything you want to eat, any toys you want to buy, any rides you want to go on, you just name it, okay? Now, when I take a dozen of my grandkids, before we leave the house, I said, don't ask for shiznit. You know what I mean? We're going to eat before we go. I'll tell you what rides we're going on. When you got 400 people living with you, you got more rules. So it appears like, oh my gosh, he makes us do this. Nobody paid to be there. I wouldn't take a welfare check, no social, no EBT cards, none of this. I made sure it was all raised from the congregation wanting to help out. So it's just that part's BS. Could I be a little hard or tough? Could I look authoritative at times? Yeah, you got to be that way at times like that. I mean, that's Victory Outreach. That's anybody who runs homes.
Because people said the home thing is a little hairy. I mean, it is. I mean, it's very difficult to run a home and have people live there and try to fall under some sort of rules. I can only imagine your guys' stuff exploding so fast, and there's gonna be the more people you have, the more it gets a little hairy there.
Oh yeah, and then there'd be, like I says, at the end of our treasurer at the end of each month, when all the bills are paid and everything like that, we'd give each overseer of the house an envelope with a few $100s or whatever it is, just to bless them. And I heard the stories. I don't know what he gave them, but he gave them envelopes each week. So people are saying maybe, the spirit of imagination works in people. Maybe he gave them drugs in there, maybe this. And then I did another thing that I thought I was doing good. I never one time in our whole Anaheim Set Free existence ever passed an offering plate. Not one time. Thinking that's a good thing. People know I'm not out after their money and stuff like that. Oh, no, that made them wonder, where does he get the money? How do they give it and stuff like that? And it was just good free will offerings to people. TBN grandmas and people, like I said, $25 check, all that stuff like that. And I always lived right across the street from the church with 30 people in my own house. I mean, it was like that. But, stories. I had people want to give me stuff all the time. And like I said, never took one thing, the property of my own. That's why I was selling incense at Venice Beach, a month later after.
When you could have took, even if 10% of those people still with you, they could have paid your bills.
Oh, yeah, right? Yeah, definitely. I just knew I was done, and in my mind, my good intentions paved the road to hell. I look back. That's why when I write something or I teach people now, have a group. Have people you're accountable to. Have a life coach, mentor, spiritual, one on business, all that stuff. And I let people know, this is what I'm not good at. I have nothing to do with it.
That's huge. I think that's what makes a smart leader, right? A smart leader will go, not good at that, but I got a guy here that's good at that, and I'll put him in that position so he can excel. And overall, the whole organization becomes better because why? Because I was the leader. I knew where I was weak and not good at a point, and that guy's strong, so I'll put him in that role.
But like I said, it takes time. And for me, there was wake-up calls. So like I said, I go to court, and for court for, I don't know, 18 months, something like that. Front page when I was going through it, but when they dismissed everything, you didn't see any retraction in the newspaper and stuff like that. So I experienced a lot of that. But that's just real life public figures. You got to deal with it. People can say anything they want. They gangbang on the internet. They can, do this kind of stuff like that. And, some of the things that I've tried to live by, like I says, in these last years is different. I mean, I had another wake-up call in 2008.
This is what I want to talk to you about. So you have the Set Free Soldiers. You guys are that was a little bit more than just guys that wanted to ride bikes, right? I mean, that was be honest, Phil. That looked more like a gang.
It did, didn't it?
Did you guys operate? You guys operated like a gang back. Well, this was after the Dream Center and everything, right? So this is later on.
Yeah, I went back to Orange County, took care of the court stuff and everything like that, and opened up another Set Free over there, and started booming. Got the music, got the people, it's filled up. Like I said,
what was different this second time?
Certain things I know how to do. What was different this time on there? I wasn't as thinking as far as TV like that. I wanted to make an impact in Hollywood. Believe it or not, I wanted to make an impact in Hollywood. So we thought about getting a group called, we had Servants for Christ. We had different groups, but I says, man, like I said, I'd like to do some kind of thing for TV or something like that. So one of the guys in my soldiers group, soldiers were my Green Beret,
Okay.
So you just, and people got them, they call them different things in ministries, men of valor, you get all
deacons or somebody a little bit more.
More committed, or mighty women of God, all these
Sons of Thunder,
all these funny names. So here I'm doing my thing, and so we make an exclusive club, the Set Free Soldiers, which is cool. I said, make me a patch with a guy with some lokes on it and cool helmets like they had in the war over there in
Germany,
the last war over here.
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
Iraq.
See, a lot of people mistake it and thought those were Nazi helmets, but they're not. They're the ones just like our soldiers got there, but it just looks different when there's a pair of shades on and a
So that logo which you have on right now, right? Mm-hmm. That logo right there. I mean, it looks a little intimidating. It looks like we're a gang now.
Yeah, it does look a little rough, no doubt. Well, like I said, I've always believed a little bit sheep in wolf's clothing.
Okay,
so I mean that's part of the psychological thing. I go around with Chief. I don't say, "Hey, I'm Pastor Phil," because people want to put their booze and cigarettes and and all their paraphernalia away. I just come, "Hey, I'm Chief, and nice to meet you," or whatever. So here I am. We're going to start the club, like it says. But the point of this is it was social media is going on, so we're shooting videos and everything like that. And like in anything in the ministry world, Christian world, churches are jealous. Here's what works in the neighborhoods back in the day, because I was in the Rampart district right there with a crash unit and everybody. And, you're walking down the neighborhood, "Hey, where are you from?" I say, it's a trick question, and it's not going to be good. Churches are different. "Hey, brother, where do you fellowship?" Same thing. It ain't no different, brother.
Where'd you come from?
Just in case anybody's tuning in, man. I've been around too long, been in all the churches and stuff like that. Haters all over the place. So, so here we are. We got this motorcycle crew, and we decided to have the nicest motorcycles of all. If you look back in our videos, back in 2006, 7, and 8, we got FX model, Dyna models. If you look a couple of years ago, you will see one of the most popular TV programs called the Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
We were before them.
Yeah.
Okay? But we were ahead of our times. When people are ahead of their times, it can cause good things and bad things. So here we are. We got all those. We're the only motorcycle club in the world with all black motorcycles. Way before Sons of Anarchy came around, but what color did they have theirs? All black.
Right.
Our patches are black and white. Who else has black and white ones? Sons of Anarchy.
Wait. And there's one other popular motorcycle gang that some 1%ers that have the black and white.
Mongols.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did you guys get away with that, though?
I never asked for permission. I asked for forgiveness later.
But you knew a few of those guys, right?
I've had Mongols come into my church since the 80s, and through the years, a lot of great friends, done a lot of weddings, marriages for them, as I have for the Hells Angels, as I have for the Vagos, all of them. I'm a Christian.
Which is crazy that guys like you trip me out, because for some reason you got this talent or gift that is able to do things like that, right? You see, you go to Anaheim, you're in Anaheim, you can connect with all the gang members there. You go to Venice, you Temple Street guys over there, Rampart District, and then it's kind of unheard of, like a guy being able to say, I know some Vagos, I can go over there, no problem. I can go with the Mongols, I can go with the Hells Angels, no big deal. It's kind of wild to me.
It is wild, and it only lasts for a season, So here I am, like I says, we're doing that. So one of my guys in our club wasn't a big club, but it was an elite club, and the hype is always the thing, Like I said, things can appear bigger than they are and all that stuff like that. So we weren't a big group, but we were tight. Man, our scooters, our cuts, everything. I mean, cut above the rest.
Hey, guys, I seen the videos.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so then I got one of my guys, like I said, hey, let's do a little TV show. And so one of our guys connected with some people in Hollywood. Next thing you know, A&E is going to give us a spot. Dog the Bounty Hunter lost his spot because he said the N-word. So it looks like we may be able to get his spot. So they put a big, large sum of money together to shoot a show called Saint or Sinner. And it's going to be us bikers, how we help people, counsel people, and all this stuff. They made a trailer. It was great. Everything was going great, I'm figuring. But like I said, I teach people. I've always taught people pride goes before the fall. Pride goes before destruction. The pride drug is one of those drugs that, it just sneaks up.
On everybody.
Yeah.
You don't watch it.
So here it was, like I says, right when we're ready to what I believe we're going to be going to press with the show and all that kind of stuff. I used to tell people I was at the wrong place at the wrong time, but God reminded me, remember those little red lights, those do not enter signs, the little flashing buzzers, remember the go the other way signs that I told you? Yeah. God gives fair warning. He always makes a way for escape. Yeah. But, my pride was, ain't nobody going to tell me where I can go, and that's just how it is. And so I paid my dues for it, and we got us in an altercation where it went worldwide and it's been YouTubed worldwide. And like I said, it was a sad situation, but it led to them. In my mind's eye, it led to them believing that we were like the Sons of Anarchy, when they started posing questions, the detectives, you got a prostitution ring, I got my little smart answers like, any girl I know gives it away. I ain't charging nobody for nothing, okay? So one of those type of things.
So pride again in Phil.
Oh, yeah, pride all the way.
So the people out there that don't know, you can look it up yourself, but you guys got into it in Newport with probably the biggest gang in the world, right?
Biggest gang in the world, or biggest club, excuse me.
Biggest club, yes.
How dare you?
Yeah, my bad. All right, 1%er club, right?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Terminology there. I got to make sure I'm on check. But you get into it with the HAs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge and it's everywhere. And the biggest part of that story was this: biker pastor, and you weren't really a full pastor or anything like that anymore, right? But that's what the headlines were saying. Biker pastor and his crew get into it with the HAs,
right?
And hey, I mean, once again, Phil's getting dragged in there, and the story is a Christian dude is over here, and it's not really a Christian group.
Yeah, exactly.
At that point, though, you guys weren't, right?
I believed I was, but maybe not.
some of your guys weren't.
Because
the altercation happened at a bar.
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Are you saying Christians don't go to bars?
Well, I mean, I really don't. I don't go to bars. I mean, I'm not going to tell you I've never went dancing with my wife when we've been to Vegas. She likes to dance. Let's go. I do feel a little I had felt a little uncomfortable. I haven't been dancing in a long time, unless it's like a family party or a wedding, right? But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I would say no.
Yeah,
because things, and I'll tell you why. Things happen at bars, right? And I'm always like, yeah, I don't belong here. I'm not. I don't know these people. I might get jumped. I might get stabbed. And the appearance.
Yeah.
Not only for just for myself. I don't really care what anybody else says, but for me, the appearance of it. And then the reflection maybe for my kids, like, hey, what the heck were you guys doing there anyways, right?
So believe me, people thought that, yeah.
So that for me, but for you, what was it? I mean, it was just you're hanging out.
Yeah, it was just a matter of nobody's going to tell me where I can go.
Was that their spot?
No, that wasn't their
nobody's spot. It was just kind of
nobody's spot, but it was in their area.
In their area,
yeah, in their area.
So Phil was over here. You're instigating a little. Yeah.
Of course.
We're gonna come in here and that's it. And these are our colors. And hey,
it was definitely, like I said, just a prideful decision, and it was lessons to be learned from that. And I learned heavily. Matter of fact, it was how what the devil made for bad, God will turn around for good. Yeah, that turned out to be the last of the greatest of lessons, for me, because that turned into be an altercation where actually the fellow who was in charge of the group that came I consider him a friend of mine, nice guy, but we had somebody with us that wasn't schooled in how to behave when confrontations happen, because I believe you can talk and work things out, and he didn't have that education properly taught. I take responsibility for it. And he caused, trouble to happen. But if I wouldn't have had him there in the first place, that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
So, like that. So, that happened. And the next thing you know.
Let me ask you one question about that before we move on. How do you mend that fence with that when you get into something like that? Right? I mean, typically you be enemies for life, right? I mean, it would be an issue. I mean, obviously you're not hiding. Obviously, everybody knows where you stay. Everybody knows who you are. But how do you mend that fence so it's like, okay.
Kind of like we started off, when I burnt those people for many thousands of dollars worth of drugs. I jumped on the Word of God and surfed on it and still have. When a man's ways are pleasing to the Lord, even his enemies will become at peace with him. Yeah, that's the only thing I can do on my end, because it happened, and I'm not been one who going around, hey, look what we did, or look, this happened.
Right.
I'm
not proud of that situation.
No, not proud. I'm ashamed of that situation, and exactly, didn't need to be, I tell people now, anytime I go to a bar, I end up behind bars, so it's not a...
See? That's why I don't go. Stay out of those places, man.
So like I says, and that was 14 years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but it's still fresh in a lot of people's minds.
It's fresh like my girl Annie. Still fresh in my mind 57 years ago.
You're 15 years old. Yeah, I think even your ministry, it was I think it was still fresh in my mind. And then when you talk about it, 93 being your one of your last services, it's been a long time. How does a guy like you still be relevant? Because I've seen you do a lot of things, work with a lot of people. I mean, you're still in the mix somehow. How have you stayed relevant? I mean, when you go places, people know who you are. I mean, people know your story good and bad and whatever, but you're still relevant.
Yeah, it's like it says, it's like when two or three people say, when one person says something negative about you, it's one thing, but when a few people are saying that, there might be something to it. And the same thing, we're so quick to believe 99 people can tell you what a great guy you are, then the 100th person walks by and says you're a piece of, that. And we tend to, our minds are trained to believe the best takes more work, and the worst is easy to do it. So that we're always taking a poll on our lives. And so I had, like yesterday I took a group to Balboa. We went by the beach, got something to eat, group, clients I work with. And then I put them on the little ferry as we're going across into Balboa Island. And a guy, a business guy there go, hey, you guys know who you're with, man? This guy's a legend, So you get all those kind of people, but when somebody says what a great guy you are, you got to give it to the Lord quick. When somebody says you suck, you got to give it to the Lord quick. And so after all those type of things, one of the things that I made sure the last 14 years, I can say this, the Lord is my witness. No sidestepping, no backstepping. It's been one step forward. It was, when I said, Lord, why did you have them come raid the house, man? 150 SWAT team members, a tank, ATF, DEA, and till this day, I guarantee you the leaders of the police and all those stuff, to this day, they're not believing I'm over here doing some Christian podcast or doing something like that. They're, where's he going? Everything like that. I mean, I was tailed for years.
What were the police thinking that? Because, I almost forgot about that part of it. But you guys got raided. It was all over the news. They thought you guys were some.
They thought we were the sons of anarchy.
Yeah, criminal organization or hiding behind the Bible and doing a bunch of criminal activity. They didn't find anything on you guys.
Most of them still probably think that.
I mean, because you still live in Anaheim, so
I still live in the same house, and I painted it black.
You must bug the heck out of them.
I painted it black, and in my street, from the Anaheim Police Department, going from one end of town to the other, they use my street right in front of my house every day, and my house is black. The big red front door, and I just sort of remind them I live here, and
that's funny that you said that, because a friend of mine, I think Chill, said that on the podcast, and about the house being black. And then he goes, I know that house. Another guy hits me up and goes, I know that house. I know exactly where it's at. It stands out.
Oh, yeah. And then people call it a gang house, this, out, and all those kind of stuff like that. But if you go to the house, it's one of the most beautiful houses around there. It's all designed special, And if you go there for any event, you'll see tons of people there. And nobody drinking this, that, or anything like that. It's all Christian events, Christian gatherings, therapy sessions, Bible studies, all that going on. But that was a great wake-up call. Great wake-up call. Some people are go big and go home type people. Some people need that type of thing. I'm one of those personalities that I've seen over the years that need that, even though knowing that some people will never believe. Like I took my mom. She had to stand up in church and say, I don't know about this guy. And there would be some people that may never believe it. But that's all right. How to become relevant now, I get it. If I can... I can shout pretty loud. I could stand in the neighborhood right here and shout pretty loud. Maybe a few people will hear me. But if I get you to shout along with me and I get your son to shout along with me, we might get some more people doing it. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm mentoring young people. I know there's treasure in earthen vessels. So I'm a gold digger. I know how to get treasure out of people. I know how to help them.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So New Phil is this life coach, is this guy that wants to once again help people, but it's a little bit more low key now. It's more one-on-one, small group. What is that about?
I was kind of forced into it. I've been the evangelistically speaking guy. I've done the altar calls with hundreds, not thousands of people. And when I was going to the Anaheim schools, like I said, I'd have 3,000 kids at an assembly, and as many times a week I wanted to go. And I started a nonprofit, and I wanted to, when I talked about raising funds for the nonprofit, they didn't want to hear about the thousands I worked with. They tell us about the 10 kids who you're helping. And here I started going back to disciples are made, not born. And it started getting me going back again to small groups around the table, cell groups. And so that's what I've been doing. But I recruit recruiters. I can teach a lot of just individual people, but my math says, get, a handful of men and women who want to be invested. So I have people come up now. I hear you teach leadership groups. So I work for a few companies where I teach the business how to be Chick-fil-A with people. My pleasure. Good to have you here.
Cam works for Chick-fil-A. Look at that.
Exactly. That's the best. It don't get no better than that, man. There's a method behind all the madness. So that's what I'm doing is I'm recruiting recruiters. I'm looking for people that say, put me in, coach, those kind. They're hungry for it, and I can help mentor them so they can mentor others. And this way it's getting out that way. And it's not so much, the name, although, like I says, I have people that by doing what I'm doing now, I've helped people start businesses, helping people find work, finding jobs for people, doing all that kind of stuff. And in the end, I believe I go out hitting a grand slam.
Do you find yourself more satisfying just doing that one-on-one?
Well, now if somebody goes, would you like to start a church again? The last thing I want to do is care about your grandkids and making sure they got a teacher and all those things like that. The music department, because the music department is a lot like the children's department. They're a bunch of big-headed egos. Turn on my guitar, turn down this,
Musicians, man.
I don't miss any of that at all. But you picture like this. You're a Pop Warner quarterback. Everybody, hey, you're great. And then you're in high school, and you're in the high school thing, yeah. And then you're in college there, and then maybe you make it to the pros. But eventually, you're going to have to be a coach or write a book or do something. It just,
that's a good analogy.
Yeah, I'm fortunate that I've made it this far in life, and I still I know how to be a big fish in a little pond.
Right.
Where I work at, people, oh man, Chief, I love to listen to you, And I know where to go to, certain churches. I mean, I just got asked to go speak at a church called Mariners Church.
Nice.
I mean,
Preach.
Brother, that's huge. I mean, that they're even going to let me on still, it's I've got my little questions. I go, haven't you studied everything about me, and stuff like that? But at the same time,
I'm sure they have.
But
there's a great thing about that because a lot of people probably would have gave up, Phil.
Oh yeah.
Okay. A lot of people would have stood in Venice, right? Yeah. A lot of people would listen to a lot of things being said. The mistakes that you made, it's very hard to man up to those things. But there is something to be said that I always say this: the podcast is the story of coming up. In the terms of you coming up, how'd you come up on that, or the story of overcoming?
Yeah,
and I think your story is kind of both. The story of coming, how'd you come up? Well, I gave my life to Jesus, and it just started booming, and but the story of overcoming is almost greater than the story of coming up.
Oh yeah, that other one I really didn't have nothing to do with it. It was me. I was just doing me. But it wasn't like some great strategy I had. I didn't go to some, learn at some school or anything like that. It just, it was me. But like I says, needed to be tempered,
Right.
Self-control. So,
What would you say is the biggest difference between, let's say, old Phil, 90s, mid-2000 Phil, biker Phil, and Phil now? What would you say is the biggest change? I mean, and this is for everybody out there. This is for that naysayer in Pomona. This is for everybody online. What would you say that when they say, hey, this is the same guy, man? What would you say to them?
Well, first off, I understand, like I said, the old leopard don't change the spots and all that kind of stuff. And hey, I get that, no problem. This one, like I said, I believe that the things that we can learn in our head are down in my heart now. I understand that, I don't look up at anybody. I don't look down at anybody, eye to eye with people. I know what I'm not good at, and I make sure to surround myself with people that are good at those things. When I get my bright ideas, and I get them all the time, I can hear holy angelic laughter going, and so then I'll talk to my wife or others. I realize now my number one soldier, is my wife. I mean, they call her Saint Sandra for putting up with all my stuff, But in other words, it just the real humbling process, But when it comes down to it, and those that know me, like I says, know I'm, like I says, never been this sweet in my life, nice with people. People know when they come to my house, the Magic House, Chill will tell you. Not everybody wants to come over to my house because it might be your ex coming over. It might be somebody you hate, somebody did you wrong, because everybody's got forgiveness. It comes to my house. Nobody's allowed to hate on anybody. You come over there, get things right with them. And so, I'm just, like I says, it's taken maybe longer than others, but I tell people better late than never. And I believe God saved the best wine for last.
There you go.
So, I got I'm on a 14-year run now. That's just I'm a creature of the habit. Like I said, I got a new mindset, and I surrounded my people with people like that.
When I think about you, I think here's a guy that it almost seems like you've lived multiple lives.
Oh, you're telling me,
right? I mean, it's just in talking to your son, Chill, and reading things online, and just knowing your story over the years. It's like there's so many Phils. Or there was so many Phils. Let's say that. Who's Phil now?
Well, I still love projects. I still love projects. Jill's probably told you we're working on a, I don't know what to call it, documentary or episode, stuff like that. That may come out, may not. I mean, now it's cool if it does, cool if it doesn't. It's fun to do. It's kind of like I have a Harley in front of my house now. I may not ride it all the time, but just to know I can if I want to. I'm baptizing people all the time in our pool, but if I wanted to go swimming in our pool, I could if I want to. For me, at this point, vicariously, today we had a volleyball game at the beach there. I'm in the middle calling the score. I'm the line judge and everything like that. I could play if I wanted to, but vicariously I can enjoy it. So the fun part for me now is just doing this project. This guy, and, if you hear Chill, he's got more hype to it. This guy, man, they got the biggest company in Hollywood, Netflix, everybody, they're doing this thing for. So if it comes out, it's going to be a lot of vulnerable parts of me. They took video of me taking an afternoon nap. I would never allowed that to be.
Too cool for that, man.
Oh, too cool for that. I don't even talk. How dare you? And here I am. I have a man in my room with a camera, and I'm from another generation, where, even my kids, when they pat me on the butt and say, "Good game, Dad," no, homie, don't play that, So, I mean, the vulnerability part, is for the purpose of helping others. My mom used to say two things to me that I hated. She knew I was an angry kid. When I'd leave the house, she'd go, "Now stay sweet." I hated sweet, anything like that. And then she'd say, in other words, after that, she goes, "And you catch more bees with honey." I hated those things. Now, my kids, my friends, my clients, stay sweet, catch more bees with honey. And, I want to go down. I got another book I'm working on, The Art of a Professional Forgiver. So that's been a great healing. And if nobody ever read these books, they're good for me.
Wow,
it's my own therapy,
That's good.
So, yeah.
So the prideful man is now the vulnerable man. I don't care. I think there's something to be said when you get older and you're okay with who you are. The mistakes you made, you own up to them. You make the appropriate changes in your life.
Yeah.
And you start to say, yeah, this is who I am. This is what I've done. I'm not like that anymore. And I'm okay with being who I am. I mean, it's a great way to live.
Yeah. I mean, I'm loving the life now, and a lot of people, I'm not that unrealistic person. When a person goes, age is just a number. No, tell my hips and ankles that they ain't buying that. I mean, this body's,
especially for an old martial arts guy, it hurts a little bit more.
Oh, you better believe it. But but it's cool. Now I'm just trying to help mentor others to get it quicker than I got it. Because mine have been huge wake up calls,
and nobody could tell you anything because you've been through it all. ups, downs, good, bad, ugly.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I says, it's. I mean, they're just like I said, it's just people. People is what Jesus is all about, and that's what He cares about. So, I got it, like I says, and I get to work each day doing, working with people and small groups, and it's a cool thing. And once in a while I'll do something like this. This isn't even something that I chase after doing. It's just it's got to be like a God thing all the time.
That's good, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming out, being a little vulnerable. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest, man. I was like, I've met you in the past. You did seem like a chief, a prideful chief, and I was like, man, I don't know how he's gonna come today, but I was pleasantly surprised, man. I appreciate your honesty, your vulnerability. Definitely a different side of chief that I hadn't seen.
And like I says, I got one of those places where when I online and stuff, I go and invite people over, tell people, come on over, take a chance, hey, taste it. You might like the water,
Yeah.
Come on over. It's great to have your son here with you. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. He's
That's
always
a cool
here.
thing.
I can't do it without him. He almost wasn't going to be here, and I was sweating.
What?
He almost wasn't going to be here. Phil, we got one more thing, and we call it the Furious 5. So we asked 5 questions, not Fist of Fury, but 5 questions, and answer them quick, just whatever you got. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Street Gospel Furious 5 with Phil Aguilar. Question number 1. And it's great that I put this question here before we even talked, but this is great because we talked about it. Who is Phil Aguilar accountable to? I had it already written down, man, and we talked about this.
I'm accountable to my wife and my Lord Jesus.
Awesome. I tell everybody the same thing. So, Lord Jesus and then my wife, but sometimes she overpasses. That's good. Question number 2. What is your biggest regret in life?
Being unfaithful to my wife.
It's huge, man. It's real. Question number 3, Street Gospel Furious 5. Where does Phil see himself in 5 years? Most people your age probably like, hey, maybe in heaven, but you're still moving. You're still doing things. What would you like to see yourself in 5 years?
With the super Netflix special about life.
Nice. Good goal. Still setting the goals.
Yeah.
Question number 4. It's kind of a fun one. What is a hidden talent that Phil has that nobody knows?
I could be a great stand-up comedian.
Oh, with you, I would probably say this guy can do it. He's done everything else. I'm not gonna try to deny it. So I'm sure if there's an open mic out there somewhere, I'm sure you'll get on it. We had my friend Terrence. He was just here not too long ago. He's a stand-up comedian, so he's on open mics like 5 nights a week getting it done. Takes a lot. Last question for the Street Gospel Furious 5. If you can go back to young Phil and tell him something, whatever age, what age would you go back and what would you tell young Phil?
I'd go back to 15 years old and say, stay sweet and you catch more bees with honey.
Nice. Mom's advice. You would have listened. Awesome. I appreciate you coming out, man.
Chapter 7.
Some good stuff.
Now behold, I would speak
Anything you want to shout out before we head out?
What an honor to be here, you and your family. And, hey, Keep on doing what you're doing. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you too, man.
Thank you. It was well worth the ride.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming out. I know you drove far from me, man.
Where is this again we're at?
We're in Timbuktu, man.
Hey,
At least it ain't Paris.
Is Chucky Perez out this way? You know what Chucky Perez is?
No.
Love Church or something like that?
No, I'll have to look him up.
I keep thinking he's somewhere.
We'll look him up. Hey, I appreciate you coming out, man.
Thank you.
Everybody out there, be sure to check out Phil Aguilar. Still doing it, man. Magic House people, one-on-one. Definitely will get back to you if you need something from him. We appreciate you guys. Subscribe, listen, follow, watch. We out. Street Gospel.